Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Mordechai. Gewaldige email here from Yosef F. Rebbe Shlita, the Sultan Rebbe Shlita from Farakwe, receives Revi every Shabbos instead of Shishi. There's one time when somebody called up for Revi, started yelling that it's embarrassing, and the previous Rebbe, Zeichet Tzadik Yivrocha, couldn't handle the bezoina torah and decided to switch to minog. Bekitzer, they're making Revi great again. I used to daven a lot at the Sulitzer. When we lived in Farakwe, my father used to go there a lot, so I'm very familiar over there. I think it's a beautiful thing. Think about it. He gets Revi, no Shishi, no Shlishi, Revi. Beautiful. Mamash like it. Which brings my second point, Haftarah. Was done from Chumash, they were poor. Bekitzer, he's saying why the minhag is in some places to do from Chumash, and they keep minhagim. Bekitzer, people dug their heels in not to change anything, even the smallest minute detail, even when it comes to halacha, unfortunately. Okay. Talmud since beginning of Gittin. My son Shmuli is becoming bar mitzvah on Monday. That's tomorrow, Mazel Tov. He started learning Daf Yomi with MDY at Mesechtas in the Dorim. His own idea. He's been learning the Daf every day since, even though all the preparations, even through all the preparations and learning was bar mitzvah. He hasn't missed a day. He also managed to convince 6 of his friends to join him over the time. A tremendous mazel tov to his bar mitzvah. We're very proud parents and hope he'll continue to steig and complete many more Mesechtas with the MDY. Kind regards, Aaron Tzvi Grossberger. Mazel tov. Tremendous mazel tov. Henry Rosenblatt, first, thanks ever so much for the effort you put into this shiurim. I'm sure everyone will agree with me that we really appreciate it. I myself have been with you since Mesechtas Eruvin. Eruvin. As for my story, I live on Kibbutz Lavi, Galil HaTachton, originally from Liverpool, England. Many years ago, I used to work in our fields growing irrigated and non-irrigated crops. So yesterday on Daf Samach, we learned about the farmers who used to shear the river were in their fields. So he's saying that this is Naget to our days also. In the middle of davening, I remembered my Maisa about 30 years ago. We have fields around Peruria Junction and no water for irrigation. It was a dream of the founders of the kibbutz that we should have water there. Well, the dreams came true. They found themselves with a water pipe in the field. The only problem was that the supply rate was only around 70 cube an hour. Still better than nothing. One day, I received a phone call, and this is from 30 years ago. Farmer from Moshav nearby, Arbel. He had fields, neighboring hours. Let's meet. They met. Bekitzer, they decided to share the water. They divided the days into hours, and they both got irrigation, so we both had benefit, just like in the story in the Gemara. Amazing. By the way, after davening, I found this fellow's number, called him up, spoke to him. He remembered, of course, just told him the story to Morty. He told me to let you know, Yeshua Koyach, Batzlacha, Besurus Toivus, Henry Rosenblatt. This Rabbi Isai, somebody sent me this picture. I don't think he does the daf with MDY. Nevertheless, he's doing Daf Yomi, and what I found interesting is he's learning from regular Gemara, not from an art scroll. Yep. So Daf reaches everybody, and Be'ez Hashem, everybody will be doing the Daf, and it'll be mechazik everybody. And let's go straight to the Klal sponsor by Anonymous from Lakewood. I miss his brother-in-law, who's supposed to be here every day, a big part of the shir in Chicago, but he's been here for half of one shir so far. We very much appreciate that. Anonymous from Lakewood, the Refuos, Shalamas Esther Baz Bela, the Koil, sponsored by Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe and Nishmas Betzal ben Moshe. The Masechta is sponsored by Moshe Banda to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. Parnas HaChodesh, Lakewood Living Families, Lakewood, New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmas Chai Bas Yosef, and the art of the month. No sponsors of the day. We're going right into it. For a complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi Ben Leah. Rabbi Isai, we're holding on Daf Samach Beis. We're mamish moving through Mesechtas Gittin. 3 lines down. Hey, Rabbi Yossi ben Amishulam Mishum Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yossi testified in the name of Rabbi Yochanan's brother, Sha'amar Mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Chasma. He said in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Chasma. Does anybody know why his name was Rabbi Elazar ben Chasma? Yerushalmi says Rabbi Elazar ben Chasma came once to a city and they asked him to be a chazan, and he tried. It didn't go very well. In those days, there was a whole, like, you had to know the words by heart. It didn't go so well. He came back a different time, and he davened for the Amud, and it went well. So he said, Chasma. Chasma means you mischazik. He became stronger, and the name stuck. Ein oisin chalas ha'ma'aretz b'tahara. So he said that if a ha'ma'aretz comes to you and says, listen, I was very careful, and the dough has no problems of tumah. Go ahead, please take off some challah for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the shear. I don't know how to do it. I don't know the bracha. Do it for me. You're not allowed to do it. Why? We're concerned that since he's an ha'ma'aretz, the dough is tummy. Ein oisim chalas ha'ma'aretz b'tahara. Aval oisin. In other words, even if he tells you it's tahara, it doesn't work. Aval oisin isas chulin b'tahara v'noit l'meno. It's better if you go maybe to the there. Okay. Ein oisin chalas ha'ma'aretz b'tahara aval oisin isas chulav b'tahara. What does that mean? You can make the dough for him b'tahara. Make sure. You know what? Let's just go. Let's see if I can find it here. Just go ahead, guys. Oh, let's just do this one more time. In case somebody wasn't here, I think it's very important and I like it a lot. We talk about it a lot in Shas. The idea of Hechsher Tumah. Reb Zalman, I don't know if you saw this yet, so this is for you. You have an apple on a tree that's locked out of Tumah. You can't be metamed. It's green, it's tar. Even if it became wet and somebody that's tummy touches it, it's still tar. Because it wasn't susceptible to tumah. It's not mushlikabel tumah. Even if it's a detached from the tree, it's still not susceptible to tumah until one of the 7 liquids hits it. Then it becomes unlocked. It becomes mushlikabel tumah. And if somebody or a sheretz touches it, the tumah, then the fruit can become tummy. So now we're talking about the dough here. You could do dough if you know for a fact that water hasn't touched it. It's not mushlikabel tumah. And then he takes some of the challah. Let me just make sure I have it over here. Yeah. Okay, great. So here you have what is this called? Some sort of vessel that holds the wine. A flask. There you go. And Yoshi did this for me last minute. It was already 1:20 in the morning when he did this. So he took a piece of the leather of the flask, you see, and he made one of these out of it. A little pouch. That is so small and insignificant that's not makabel tumah. So he takes a piece of challah, let's say 1/24th, if he's just a regular individual, 1/24th, and somebody has to speak to the shul here if they could, on 7:30 they could put the air conditioning on. No, it's kind of hot here. 76 degrees. Anybody have the number for the Gaba? All right.
If it were bigger, it really, they would have a shame cleat to be able to come to them.
Well, yeah. If it's
just a big piece of
leather.
It's a leather pouch.
Leather pouch.
There's no keyboard.
No, this does have a keyboard. I believe because it's the size. Not because it's tattered. It's not even the size, it's just leftover. It's a broken kli, so it's like comes the Amoretz and takes the challah part and the dough part. Now, why is that okay? Why could the Amoretz touch this? Isn't he going to make it tamei? So the Gemara is going to discuss that. And the chaver, the person who's very careful with tumah tahara, he doesn't have to be worried about it. Now the Gemara says the same exact case all over again. It's a freebie, but this time it's with olives. If Ramar says, hey, could you please come take some truma and meiser? We're not going to go through the whole chart again. We all know what it is. Please take 2% of my produce for truma 10%, whatever's left over for the meiser of my olives. You can't do that because he's telling you that's tar. Maybe it's tame. What if you have just a bunch of zaysim? You have a bunch of olives that you just picked off the tree. You see that it was never mushal truma, and then you could take the amount of olives that you need to take off, the truma part, and then you put it into a vessel of the chaver. And the Gemara is going to say that when it says bekelav shechaver, doesn't necessarily mean that this Talmud Chacham guy, it's his vessel. It means it's a vessel that's good for this chaver. It's a vessel that's not mekabel tuma. Okay, I'm just pointing it out here so that it's easier later. Same exact halacha we said before by the dough. Once the chaver is done with what he had to do, then the amars can come pick up everything. The produce that's good for him, the produce that he has to give over to the kohen and the levi, and the chaver doesn't have to worry that the amar is going to mess everything up and make it tameh. And what's the reason of the gabel, of the badal? The reason why we are lenient over here is because we want the chaver to make a parnasa. You know, there are people that go around, that's their parnasa. They put up mezuzahs for people. They do things, Jewish things for other people that they don't know. So a little bit of parnasa. It's not who knows what. You're not going to become a millionaire from what the Gemara says. He goes, he helps the guy out. He takes the challah for him. He takes this. You get a little parnasa. And why do I need two cases? One in dough and one with olives? Isn't that the same exact thing? The Gemara has a simple tzrichus hadish min gabal. I'm talking about the guy that does the dough. Mishum delinofish agre. It's 1/24 of a challah. How much is that already? It's nothing. Avabado the nafsh agre. He makes a pretty decent size parnasa from that time. Emaloi. Maybe it's too much. We shouldn't be lenient with him. The reason why we're lenient is that he should have parnasa. Okay, there's a guy that doesn't make any money. He deals with dough all day. No, we'll have Rahmanas on him. A guy that's a big shot. He deals with large quantities of olives. Maybe we shouldn't be lenient with him. We are lenient with him. If we only say that the guy that does the olives, how often do you do olives? Once a year in the season of olives. But the rest of the year, 9 months out of the year, whatever it is, it's dry season. You make bread every day. You shouldn't be nice to him. We're always lenient in these cases, so people should make a little parnos. Now let's get into it. He makes the challah and he puts it in a little tiny pouch that was made from tattered leather that he used for a flask. And we don't have to be concerned that the Amar is going to make it tummy. Ask the Gemara, why not? The Amar comes along and he's going to touch what's in this little pouch and he's going to make it tummy. Says the Gemara, we warn the Amoritz, we lie to him, we threaten him. You should know that if you touch it, it's going to go back to being tevel. And if it's tevel, what's the halacha? When you have fruit that's tevel and you eat it, you chayiv misa. Fruit that doesn't have fruit that you didn't take trumas and maises from and you eat it, you chayiv misa. That he's scared of. He doesn't want to get the death penalty. We warn him, make it up. I saw a lot of svarim discuss. Are you allowed to trick your family to do certain things? Like, could you tell your kid it's already 7:30, you're going to miss shacharis, it's really like 6 o'clock in the morning. Different things. Move the clock this way, move it that way. Yes, no, ayin her, they try to bring rice from here, fine. V'leichosh, I'm not saying what the halacha is. Usually it's not okay. V'leichosh dumelo yichbas. As Gemara, maybe he's an Amar. He couldn't care less. Chayiv misa, big deal, chayiv misa. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? Hashem Takune, he made the phone call. He called up the rabbi, said, help me out, take the Truma Meiser, the Tekunika Machaven, Michbas lo, Yichbas lo. All of a sudden he's not going to care. Of course he cares. He called up the rabbi, he said, I don't know how to do it. Help me out. So we said, and I already I cheated a little bit. I told you the end of the sugya. The Gemara goes through it. So the Talmud Chacham comes, takes truma, and puts it in a special kli. It's the kli owned by the Talmud Chacham. And when the Amoris comes to pick up his stuff, he picks up the truma meiser, he picks up the regular produce. Now, if Amoritz, whose tummy doesn't know about tum and tahara, his body's tummy, he has no clue when to go to the mikvah, when not to go to the mikvah, he touches the fruit, he makes the fruit tummy. If he makes truma tummy, what happens? Nobody can eat it. The kohen can't eat it. The kohen can't eat it, and certainly Yisroel can't eat it because it's already truma. Says Gemara, what do you mean we're not concerned? But maybe he did touch it. Says Gemara, also, when we're talking about challah, it's like, hey, you put it in a funny little pouch. So even the Amar is just careful. We're talking about 25 pounds of olives. What are you going to do with it? Says the Gemara, so I do have I thought it would be a cooler picture. But this is what I found online for klei gelalim. This is a kli made out of dung. I once had a better one that was literally, but this is more appropriate for the 3 weeks. These are kalim that are not mekabel tumah. We had yesterday. If you have fruit inside a clay gull, it's a kli made out of dung, and somebody touches the outside. How is it possible for somebody who doesn't touch the fruit inside to make the fruit inside tummy? Huh? No. What did you say? Tumas what? Oil is one way. Good. What else? Heset. We learned yesterday. If something like zava, need to move it, becomes tummy. But we're not concerned about that. We're concerned about the tumah of Amaretz. He puts it in a kli that's not mekabel tumah, like a kli made out of stone, kli havana, kli adama, earthenware. Fine. Not earthenware. Earth. Yihachi. Ask the Gemara, my ear the chaver. So why do you say that the chaver owns it? Afilu damaretz nami. Even if the Amaretz owns this dung kli, it's not mekabel tumah. So the Gemara nami kamar. That's exactly what we meant. That the Amaretz owns it. The kelim shamaretz haruim l'shtamish b'em chaver. When I say that it's a kli of a chaver, I didn't mean that literally he owns it. I meant to say it's a kli that the chaver uses all the time. The chaver who's very careful with tum and tahara, he uses a special kli that's not mekabel tumah. Next sugya, brand new sugya. Marziki midei nochrim b'shviz. We are permitted. Let me see if we have it. Yes. So here's a picture of non-Jews working the field, and there's a Jew in there. It was inserted digitally. You can see he has a payas and a beard and some tzitzis. So the havamina is that he can literally go and help the non-Jew work the field on Shemitah. Achzikin. V'amar Avdimi bar Shishna. Mishmei de Rav says, "Ein oidrim min anachri." You can't hoe a field, you can't plow a field with a goy b'shvi. You can't do it on Shemitah. Vein koivlim shalom lanachri, and you cannot say shalom to a goy. You could say shalom one time, but not twice. Shalom, as we said, is the name of Hashem, and for darkish shalom to make peace with the non-Jew, you're allowed to say shalom, but not twice. Like I said, the story of the Lebovic Rebbe I said last night is more pasach over here, a little bit more. Like there's a limit to how much you can do. To bow your head to him and to say that not. Say shalom, okay. Yeah, within the gather of darkish shalom, to be nice enough that we live in peace. But you don't have to go overboard and say Hashem's name twice and bow your head. You're not allowed to work the field with a non-Jew. But what you could do is, you could tell him, sei gesund, like that, like, be strong, good, do it well. I hope it goes well for you. You're not saying the name Hashem b'chlal. You see a guy working in the field, he's schwitzing away, he's plowing, and he's your neighbor. You say, you know what, it should go well for you. Whatever the lashon is in those days, it was be strong. Bon appetit, exactly. that kind of thing. Rav Yehuda would tell the non-Jew, Achazuku, be strong. It should go well. It's a nice thing. As you see a guy working hard in the field, instead of just ignoring him, you throw out a good word. Rav Sheshes Omalu, Asharta, strength to you. Okay. Givaldik. You don't say hello, you don't say shalom twice. You say hello twice, but not the word shalom. Says the Gemara, Rav Chizda, Magdim v'yoyv shlomo. Rav Chizda would say first to the non-Jew, he would say shalom. Mashas is beautiful. Because if he would wait for a millisecond and the non-Jew would say shalom to him, then what would he have to say back to the non-Jew? Shalom, shalom. Because when somebody says something to you, you add something. You don't just mimic him. That was the meaning then. You say shalom, and the second guy says shalom, shalom. Even today, sometimes I do that. Like, it comes naturally. Shalom, shalom. Which is slightly problematic. I actually saw a Shiloh, like, people go to the zoo and it's shalom, and they scream to the monkey, shalom! You're not allowed to. It's Hashem's name. It's to annoy you. I'm serious. Like, somebody asked the Shiloh, how do you say hello to the monkey? You'd say hello, but not shalom. Okay, no, I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. Today we have some interesting stuff, some interesting Shilohs. But I got to tell you, I was reminded yesterday by Reb Pinchas. He said, I once said a story, so I got to say it over. It's a beautiful story. How do you say Pottsville? Pottsville. By the Shidduchim of Pottsville. The Shidduchim over there. I knew it's not Pottsville. You set me up. He keeps on saying Pottsville. I'm not even going to say the name anymore. Over there by Aleph Beis Gimel's Shchita house, L'Shavar, there was a Yid that always said hello to the guard. Famous story, but it's kedai to say it. And one day, the guard, as he's about to close shop, he said, wait a minute, what happened to Ruvain? Every day he says hello to me. He said hello when he came in, and he didn't say hello when he went out. He didn't like it, so he went in and he looked around and he found him stuck in the freezer, right? Is that the Maisa? Yeah. And he saved his life. So saying shalom, being nice to the non-Jew, actually saved his life. Beautiful Maisa. Rav Chizda used to say hello to everybody first. He'd say shalom first. Make sure that the guy didn't say to him first. Rav Kahana Amar Luhu Shalom Lamar. Says Rashi, very interesting. Rav Kahana did a little bit of a trick. He didn't say shalom. He said shalom to my master. And basically he was talking to his own Rebbe. So it turns out that he wasn't even saying shalom to the non-Jew. He was saying shalom to his Rebbe. As Tosfos, that's Gnevas Das. Like, why do you have to come out? Tosfos doesn't like that pshat so much. It's not l'chatchila to steal somebody's mind. You're saying hello to him, but you don't really mean to him. You mean to the Rebbe. Why do you have to do it like that? And you could ask how they're doing. Says the Gemara, if you're allowed to say a lashon, that's much strong. You say you should have a lot of strength. So certainly you could say, how are you? We're talking about on their chag. And that would be a problem to say shalom. You're not allowed to go into his house on his holiday and give him shalom. Why? Because then he's going to attribute it and say thank you to his, whatever he worships, his Avodah Zarah, and say, oh, look, because of you, the Jew came and said shalom. What if you bump into him? Now, you have a problem. You don't want to ignore him. That's the opposite of Darkei Shalom. Eva. So what do? You give it, you say it a little bit low on the quiet side. With a heavy head. In other words, you don't bow your head, you know, it's heavy. You're careful how you say it. You say it like a coffee shade, sort of. Like you mamish force. So you do it, but you do it. You say it in a different way, so it doesn't give a tremendous ishkoyach to his getchke. Ravuna Rav Chizda Avi Yasvi. Rabbi said we had this exact story, and I don't know how to explain it exactly. What exactly happened there? It's almost exact. It's the same two people. Ravuna Rav Chizda Avi Yasvi. This we had on Daf Lamed exactly a month ago. Cholef va'azil Gniva. A person by the name of Gniva walks by. Tremendous Talmud Chacham. One of them, Ravuna to Rav Chizda, Rav Chizda Ravuna, Nekum Kamei. Let's stand up for him. The Bar Urion, he's a big Talmud Chacham. Omar Loi, Umekamei Palgo Nekum. We should stand up in front of somebody that has machlokes. He is the one that chep is Mar Ukva. The whole story is Mar Ukva. It's mamish the same story, word for word. And then at the Hacha also, and by the time he got there, Eli Gabayu, Omar Lahu, he says to him, Shalom Aleichem Malchei. Shalom Aleichem Malchei. You kings, he says, a double lashon. Shalom Aleichem Malchei. Shalom. Omar Lei, Menalach, the Rabbanon, Iker Melachim. How do you know this? Omar Lahu, he's a big Talmud Chacham without even thinking for a second. B, Melachim Yimleichu. B means within the Torah, from the Torah, Melachim Yimleichu, the kings will rule. And how do you know that you say Shalom Shalom twice? I gotta show you the pasuk inside. Look at this pasuk. The Gemara doesn't bring it as usual, typical, classic. The main part is all the way at the end, which the Gemara doesn't bring. Because everybody has to know this by heart anyway. Shalom Shalom L'cha. So it says the word shalom twice. V'goymer. When it says v'goymer means literally you have to finish it off. Not v'chulu. V'goymer means you better look it up and finish it. So without going into great length, it's very obvious. They have somebody who's a huge Talmud Chacham. Wherever you ask him, he answers. He says, "How do you know these? It says this pasuk. How do you know that pasuk?" But one small machlokes that he had with Mar Ukva causes demise. Machlokes, and then we're talking about the 3 weeks. Churban Abayis. Machlokes, and I'm sure it was the Shem Shemayim. He held that Mar Ukva was wrong in something, and and he chepped him too much. Mar Ukva was so bothered by it, he said, Can I master on him? What do I do with this guy? Doesn't matter how chashuv you are, machlokes is wrong and it's bad. Amrilei litom marmidi. Could we give you something to eat? Omar lahu Omar Rav Yud Omar Rav. He's quoting Rav. Osur lo la'adam sheyitim klum at sheyitim machle behemtoi. You're not allowed to eat anything until you feed your animals. Baruch Hashem, I know in America, all the shuls are very makbid. They feed the behemoths first by the kiddush, and then the rest of the oilam eats. They'll go. Let the behemoths eat 3 portions. Nothing's left over for anybody else. Who cares? It's me. But there's a chiyuv d'oraisa to feed your animal before you feed yourself. Shenemar, because it says in the pasuk, "V'nosati esav b'sodcha levimtecha." You should give the grass in your field to your animal. And only after that the Torah says you should eat and satiate yourself. Believe it or not, this might be the first time that I can recall that it says in Shas that you should have a dog. The Sefer Hasidim says that a person should have an animal. Because of this Gemara, you should have at least, he says, it doesn't say dog, so at least you should have a chicken or a duck, so that you could be mekayim this chiyuv, this mitzvah every single day. You feed your chicken and then you eat. So today we don't have chickens. You could have a dog, like a tremendous Talmud Chacham in my neighborhood. I'll say this again. I don't want to say his name in public, but when we moved to Ramat the Chemesh, I see a guy. I couldn't believe I had to take a double look. He's walking a goat in the street with his children, like a dog on a leash. I'm like, Schuldig, what's going on here? He says, listen, my kids really want a dog. But, dogs are pasnished. A goat pasachia. Okay, fine. And then he explained to me that a dog, it relieves itself. It's not the same. It's okay. You don't really have to pick up after it. Fine, etc., etc. Now, there's a few very interesting things here. The Stipler asked Chazanish. I thought this is incredible. I laughed when I saw the Shaila. He said he had a trap. You know those metal traps? You could catch small animals in, squirrels. Talking about squirrels, you'd have enough from this. Avner Nagar, Zuchran Levrach, sold me his house. That's your brother's house, where he lives today, Benji's house. So that was my house back in the day. And we just moved in there, and there's like 20 squirrels coming to the back door. What's going on there? Turns out Avner used to feed the squirrels. Couldn't get rid of them. So I had to get a couple traps, the whole thing, and then you send them away, you trap them, bring them somewhere else, 2 miles away, the next day they're back. They have GPS and the whole thing. It's not it was a disaster. If I would have known, maybe I would have bought the house. It was crazy. They would come into the kitchen. They would walk right in, because that's how you'd feed them. You'd hand feed them. Nice. Fine. Asked the Stipler, he bought a little trap, a metal trap. He didn't want to kill the mouse like they have in America, just slice them in half. So he catches a mouse on Shabbos, and he asked the Chazon Ish if he's mechuyev to feed the mouse before he feeds himself. Because, no, it was a weekday, so you take the mouse and do whatever you need to do with the mouse. Throw him out somewhere in the field. But it was Shabbos. He can't move it. It smokes it. Is he mechuyev? One of these kashas. I just thought it's funny enough to say over in the shir. Of course, the Chazon Ish said, don't worry about it. You never trapped him for yourself. You don't want him. It's not for you. It's not your pet. You add the rabbi, you want to get rid of him, fine. But here's a very interesting thing. What about your child? You have a child. What's more important, to feed your animal, to feed your child? The Torah says you should feed your animal before you feed yourself. Should you feed your little animals, your little children, before you feed yourself? Before you feed your animal? What comes first, a child or an animal? No.
Common sense.
Common sense, your child. Very good. So your common sense wins. This is the Peliyoid says this. He says that the Isser of Tsar Bel Chaim of children is Doiraisa. By torturing your child, you're over Doiraisa. So he says, in Mela, you should feed your child first. Moshe Feinstein says that you're mechuyev to feed your animal, your children before your animals, if they are children they cannot take by themselves. Children that can go and help themselves, go to the closet and take out, then you're mechuyev to give your animal before your child. That's what he says. Okay. With that, we finish the perek. Hadran aloch hanizokin, Hadran aloch hanizokin, Hadran aloch hanizokin. Okay, so basically what we're going to have here today is this idea of shliach lo'elacha. I don't know what happened there. Got stuck in Shemaim Lards. Let's see. Straighten out. Okay. There's something called a shliach lo'elacha and a shliach l'kabbalah. Sorry, I didn't get a cup today. Self-serve. It's money. The turning the page. Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll do it before we start the Mishnah. The turning of the daf is sponsored by Mordechai Sapoznick. Baruch should give him a shidduch, even though he didn't ask for it. It was my schos. And by the Tehillim group, tehillim.8mindaf.com. And the Mishnah, sponsored by Eli Friedman, Lila Nishmas is their father, Chaim Avram Shalom Yeruchim Ben, Yisroel David, Olav Hashem. Shliach lo'elacha, Rabbi Yisai, is when the husband sends a shliach in our art that we did. He resembles a little bit the president, but not mamish, because he has pays and everything. And the shliach l'kabbalah is a shliach that the woman, the wife, she sends a shliach to receive the get. It could also be a shliach to bring the get to her. Okay, so here we have it. By the way, over here, our chassan, he's already on his second wife, because he divorced the first wife in the beginning of the Masechta. Here's I want to introduce you to his new wife. Shami lady I said, listen, these Yerushalmi ladies, they don't do anything less than like a $1,200 stroller. And they all, I don't know if you noticed that their children, they dress like mamish, and then they match each other. It's a whole thing by Yerushalmis. It doesn't matter how much money they have. So I said, you got to put like a motor on this thing. So he did a 4x4. It says 4x4 in the front. Great. So it goes like this. The husband on the left makes a shliach. Basically, the shliach lo'elacha is an extension of his hand. And if you go back for a second, as long as he's going, she's not divorced. She becomes divorced when the going finishes, when he's able to give it to her. That's a shliach lo'elacha. That's the husband does that. He can't make. Could a husband make a shliach kabbalah? No. Here's the shliach kabbalah. Shliach kabbalah As soon as the shliach receives the get in his hand from the husband, she becomes divorced. He doesn't have to bring the get back to her. He's a shliach l'Kabbalah. He's an extension of her hand. So her hand, as soon as her hand receives the get, whether it's with the shliach or her own hand, she becomes divorced. What if the husband decides, I want to make a shliach l'Kabbalah? Does that work? No. Why not, Marty? Because it's a chayiv. All divorce, I don't care if this woman's waiting for a get for 30 years, but a divorce, in essence, is a chayiv. It's not a good thing. She loses her mezainas, whatever the reason is, it's a chayiv. So, ein zachen, in chavin la'adam shalei b'fanav, and memela, a husband cannot make a shliach l'Kabbalah. Now, what if she made a shliach l'Kabbalah and he made a shliach l'hoilacha, the same guy? How does that work? That's one thing we're going to see today. What if the shliach says, she made me a shliach to bring it, and he lies, and I'm sorry, the shliach said, the wife said, bring it. And the shliach lied and she said, I'm a shliach l'Kabbalah. And the husband says, I'll give it, I don't know what she said, whatever she said, that's what I want to do. The halacha is, it's not a get. That's the final halacha we're going to see. So let's see different things over here. Been a get too. Shliach l'Kabbalah, shliach l'halacha. Says the Mishnah. Hoimer iskabel get zeli ishti. Now, a husband cannot make a shliach l'Kabbalah. So what is he doing here? What's he saying? Hoimer iskabel get zeli ishti. So you would think, Rabbi Yisai, you would think that it's nothing, right? He just tried to do something that doesn't exist. He tried to make a shliach l'Kabbalah. A wife can make a shliach l'Kabbalah. A husband can make a shliach l'Ilacha. He could send the get. But he cannot tell somebody, you stand right here, I'm going to put the get into your hand, and my wife is going to become divorced. That doesn't work. So why did he say it? He must have meant shliach l'Ilacha. That's what he must have meant. Or he says, bring this get to my wife. Now, since there's a whole trip, it takes a whole day to get to the wife. So anytime from now until the get gets to the wife, he could take it back. Because there is no shliach l'Kabbalah, we said, and the most he is shliach l'Ilacha. And until the wife receives it in her own hand, she's not divorced, so the husband can retract whenever he wants up until the wife receives it. And if the wife says, I want you to become my shliach l'Kabbalah, once the get hits the shliach's hand, then what? Then it's as if she received it and she's divorced on the spot. So that's it. The husband can't retract. Lefichach, says the Mishnah, we're gonna talk about this line over here. If the husband says, I don't want you to become a shliach l'Kabbalah, you should be a shliach l'Ilacha, okay, that's normal. V'tenla, and give it to her. Great. If a woman says, take, that's the same thing as be mekabel for me, it's the same kind of lashon. It's all over. So now the Gemara is going to go into a sugya of hoylech kischi. If you remember, hoylech kischi, what does that mean? We spoke about it. When a husband says, I want you to take this get, we're in Chicago now, take this get to Eretz Yisrael. Does the husband mean you should acquire it right now for her? Could he have charat in the middle? Says Gemara, I can prove to you. In the second case of the Mishnah. The first case was he made a shliach l'Kabbalah. Second case is that he made a shliach l'Ilacha. We're talking about a case where the woman didn't do anything. She didn't make a shliach, the wife didn't make a shliach l'Kabbalah. And that's why he could take it back. But what if she also made a shliach l'Kabbalah? So now, since he said hoylech, he cannot take it back. The reason why he can take it back is because she didn't do anything. But if he said hoylech together with her saying to Kabel, she made a shliach Kabbalah and he made a shliach l'Ilacha, l'chayra, he won't be able to take it back. Shma mina hoylech kischidami. So you see, why can't he take it back? Because of this idea of hoylach kischi. As soon as he said hoylach, and she made a shliach kabbalah, so together hoylach kischi, he's the shliach is zoicha for the wife. Says the Gemara, lo leila meimala hoylach lav kischi. No, perhaps the husband could retract. Viskabel get lishti it's richalei. Whole right was, then why did it have to say a case of Iskabel? He's the one that did it. He's the one that made a shlich kabbalah. But if the wife made a shlich kabbalah, it wouldn't work. No, you're talking about something completely different, and that's basically the nekuda that I pointed out during the Mishnah. What we're trying to say is not so much the shlich kabbalah, as much as this idea that when he said something that was a mistake, he cannot make a shlich kabbalah. So why is he making a shlich kabbalah? Since he's not in the parsha, he can't make a shliach kabbalah. Why? Because it's a chayv and so it's nothing. What he did, me and you perhaps would say that if a husband says you should be the shliach kabbalah, and we know la halacha that's a no-no, so it shouldn't work at all. That's why it says hoylach. Not for you to be medayik to hoylach kischi, but because of the halacha of hiskabel get, and don't make any diukin from hiskabel. Oh, hiskabel. But if she did it, no. What I'm trying to say is this beautiful idea that if a man makes a mistake, it's not a mistake. What he did was he wasn't trying to say that the shliach should be a shliach kabbalah. What he's trying to say is, I want to make the shliach a shliach halacha, and it should work, and the guy should travel all the way from America to Israel, and up until the point he gets to Israel and delivers the get, I could retract. That's what the Mishnah is trying to say, even though he used a terrible lashon of his kabbalah, which doesn't work. Right? Because every husband basically knows that he can't make a shliach kabbalah. And he said this lashon anyway because he really wants it to be a shliach lo'ilach. Now we learned in our Mishnah, a woman who says, "Please go ahead and accept the get on my behalf." If the husband wants to take it back, he can't retract. Why? Because once the get hits the shliach's hand, it's as if the woman received it. My love, loishna kabbalah, loishna halacha. Oh, so. Even though it was halacha, hoylacha, and over here you could see l'chayra that hoylach kischi, he can't retract. Why can't he retract? Because he made a shliach loylacha loy akabbalah. But of course, if he was a loylacha, then he could retract. Tashma leficha chimamar loyabal yevshel tikabbalah. Right, that was one of the lines in the Mishnah. Therefore, if the husband says, "I don't want you to become the shliach kabbalah," you should be a shliach halacha and give it to her. It's only because he says, I don't want you to become a shliach kabbalah. But if he didn't say that lashon, okay? So from our Mishnah, the Mishnah says, because he said specifically, I don't want you to become a shliach kabbalah. What if he didn't say, I don't want you to become? Then he would be able to acquire it for the wife. Why? Again, we're just talking about this idea, is hoylach. When a husband says the word, I want you to deliver this get to my wife, does the shliach have the ability to acquire it on the spot for the wife or not? So the Gemara says, no, dilma behelach, helach and hoylach are very different. Helach means this get is for you, helach, for you. So maybe it's not really hoylach, maybe he meant helach. Okay. Now we're going to brand new sugya. If you didn't like this thing up until now, we're going to something completely different and easier. I stopped learning for a second so I could say it. Pshita! Ish havishliach lo'ilacha shekaim bal mo'il kel ishtay. What we know for a fact is that a man could be, these are things that we wouldn't think about really. We take it for granted. Let me ask you something. Could a man make a woman a shliach lo'ilacha? Have you ever heard of a woman delivering a get from Chicago to Israel? Yes or no? Could a woman become a shliach? Could a man be a shliach for a woman? Could a woman send a man to receive a get on her behalf? Yes or no? Huh? Why? That you say for sure.
Both.
Male chauvinist.
It was your video before.
Huh?
It was one of the slides.
The what?
That she.
I know. That's I thought about it afterwards. That these slides are not good. It's showing a zachar, right? Giving it away. You're right. Based on Yoshi's slide, it's kasha. Okay. So the Gemara says like this. One thing we know for sure before anything, we know pshita ish havishliach leilacha. A man can make another man a shliach to receive. She came bal moilach get lishta because the husband himself delivers the get, so he can make a shliach a man. Bisha have a shliach lekabbalah. Oh, and this is simple that a woman could be another woman's shliach lekabbalah because she just steps into the shoes of the wife, and she's a woman, so the woman can make a woman a shliach. She can isha mekabelas Gittin miyad. What about ish lekabbalah v'ish lo ilacha? Could a woman make a man a shliach, and could a man make a woman a shliach? Tashma. Let me try to prove it. If a person says two things, either you should be shliach kabbalah, or you say shliach lo'ilacha, and razalach ziyachzor. Hoy shamra is kabbalah giti, and razalach ziyachzor. That's our Mishnah. My lab b'chat shliach. L'chayr, we're talking about one man, one individual. Either he said hiskabel, he said hoylech, she said it. Nu ushma mina kasha l'kabbalah, kasha lo'ilacha. The same person could be a shliach l'kabbalah. He could step into the shoes of a woman. A man could be instead of a woman. Says Gemara loy b'shnei shidduchim. Who told you? We're talking about two different people. The wife sent a woman, and the man sent a man. We're not talking about the same individual. We don't have a strong right. Tashma lefi chachem amar le'abal yevshesh t'kabbalah. That line that we spoke about twice. This is the second time. Once in the Mishnah, once before, but this is the third time we're mentioning it. If the husband says, I don't want you to be the shliach l'kabbalah, but what do I want? I want you to become the shliach l'ilacha. If he wants to take it back, he could retract. He tells one guy, Reuven. What does he tell Reuven? This is a beautiful raya. He tells Reuven, do not be my shliach l'kabbalah, but you should be my shliach l'ilacha. It seems like if he wanted to, he could be a shliach l'kabbalah. So you see that a man could be a shliach l'kabbalah. Okay, so the Gemara says it's a good right. So that, like Reb Zalman Twersky said, that a man could be a shliach l'kabbalah, and like Yoshi did in his art. And I'll prove to you, and I'll explain to you why she cannot mekabel get lebita ketana. A father has the right to marry off his young daughter, and for the same reason, a father could receive and accept the get on behalf of his young daughter. So what do you see? That a man could be mekabel a get for a woman. But what about a woman? Can she be the messenger, the agent of the husband? To be a shliach lo'ilacha. You have women that are biased. They want the husband to be divorced from the woman. Who are these people? The mother-in-law, the shviger, and the sister-in-law, right? Rashi brings the cases. These women that really hate the tzara, women that hate a wife, they're not believed to say that the husband died. However, ne'emanois lehavi, that's the key word here, lehavi es gita. They are believed to say, here's a delivery, a special delivery. We've been waiting for this day for so long. Baruch Hashem, you are divorced. Here's the get. But they brought a get from Eretz Yisrael to Chicago. So they were shliach lo'ilacha. That answers our question. Yes, a woman could be the shliach of the husband to bring a get. And from that Mishnah alone, in the Sefer you could also bring it right. The Klal Sefer says in the end, the woman herself. Remember, we had this a number of times in this Masechta. The wife herself could bring a get. Ask the Gemara, how in the world could a wife bring a get? The sooner she gets the get in her hand, she's divorced. What's the answer? The husband was was a smart. He wanted her out of here. They lived in Eretz Yisrael together. He says, you know what? I don't want you. I don't want to see you again. If you ever make it to Chicago, you'll become divorced in the Bezin in Chicago. Go. Here, take the get, go. So she became a shliach of the husband, and she's only divorced when she gets to Chicago. No. So what do you see? She's a shliach lo ilacha. Ha'isha atzma v'yaz gito bevat she'yitzricha loimer v'fonei nechtam v'fonei nechtam givaldik. And we explained that it can't be that she's a shliach like Kabbalah, because then she would be divorced on the spot. She wouldn't have to say b'fonei nechtam. It's too late already. Shmami no itma. Let's just do this. We'll start the sugya. So I'll show it to you in Yoshi. That's a new. Here we go. Middle dart, I guess you could say. Fine. So here we go. We have the wife sending a shliach to the husband to pick up a get. Now she's not divorced. And Hoyle gets Zelishti. So that's a double thing. Forget that case. We have to go to a different case. Hold on a second. Okay. Now, if the wife says, have a get, bring me the get. What does that mean? That she's not divorced until what? Until she gets it. This little chakran, he comes to the husband. He says, she said, he amra, he's skabel get. She told me that as soon as it comes to my hand, she's divorced. That's not what she said. She said, have a get. So he's not a fool. He says, hey, whatever she said, you know what? I don't know if you're lying or not lying. Here, take the get, like she said. What's the halacha? Eina mugureshes. She's not mugurish. Even when she gets it, she's not mugurish. She said, go ahead and bring it. And the husband said, take it. Because why? We're going to see in a second. Because he's soymech on what he says. Let's see inside. Itmar, 4 lines from the bottom. Havali giti. She says, go get my get. And then v'ishtacha amra, his kabbalah giti, the shliach lies, and he says, your wife told me I should be the shliach l'kabbalah. As soon as it hits my hand, she's divorced. V'hu amar, and the husband said, hey, look, kamasha amra, I'm listening to whatever she wants. Says Rav, she's not divorced. Why? Because the husband is dependent and listening and soymech das on what the shliach said and not what the wife said. Because if he was depending on what she actually said and he believes what she said and he doesn't care about what the shliach said, as soon as the get would reach her hand as she wanted and she desired and she said so specifically, she should become divorced. The reason why she doesn't become divorced when she receives the get is because the husband was soymech on the shliach and the shliach lied. Rabbi Sai, we're going to continue this the sugya tomorrow. Have a wonderful